Hello, my dear students of third prep. Today we are going to have a new lesson, a new algebra lesson, which is the ratio and proportion. When you hear ratio and proportion, you are going to remember that you have studied these two lessons before when you were in the primary stage. We are going to have these two lessons this year, but we are going to take more and more details on ratio and proportion. At first, we are going to start by ratio, and then we'll continue up to the proportion. Let us start our new lesson today. Ratio and proportion. What is ratio at the very beginning? Let us see. If Ahmed has 5 LE and Mona has 10 LE, it means that the ratio between what Ahmed has and what Mona has is 5:10. 5:10 means 5 over 10. It's a fraction or a ratio. It can be reduced. How? By dividing both of them by 5. So you are going to obtain a new ratio equivalent to the first one equals 1:2. Or it can be written in two forms. It can be written as 1:2 or 1/2. They are the same. They give the same meaning. A ratio equals half. So we can say that a ratio is written in the form of A over B. A over B. The numerator is A, and A is called the antecedent of the ratio. And what about B? B is called the consequent of the ratio. So when you look carefully to such a ratio, you are going to notice that A is called antecedent and B is called the consequent of the ratio. What about A and B all together? What about A and B all together? A and B together are called terms of the ratio. Both of them are called terms of the ratio. Separately, each one. The first one, A, is called antecedent. The second is called consequent. But A and B together are called terms of the ratio. Then let us complete this statement. 2/3 equals 4 what? You are going to notice that the numerator or the antecedent 2 becomes 4. 2 to become 4, it is multiplied by 2. So we are going also to multiply the consequent by 2 to give a result as 6. Or by making cross multiplication, it is 3 times 4/2, which gives a result as 6. Now, if A over B equals 3/5, is A equals 3 and B equals 5? Try to think. Is A equals 3 or B equals 5? Of course not. Why? Because the ratio 3/5 may be multiplied, its antecedent and consequent by 2. So A will be 6 and B will be 10. Maybe 3/5, the consequent and the antecedent both are multiplied by 10. So it will be 30/50, and so on. So in this case, can we say that A equals 3 and B equals 5? Of course not. So what about the relation between A and 3 and B and 5? Let us see. If A over B equals 3/5, it means that A equals 3M. What about M? We are going to multiply 3 by a number which is not belong to number, gives the antecedent A. And as we multiply the antecedent by M, we must multiply the consequent by M, as it is not equal to 0. So in this case, we can say that A equals 3M and B also equals 5M. But A is not equal to 3 and B is not equal to 5. Now let us have an example. Find the number if added to the two terms of the ratio 7:11, it will be 2:3. A number added to the two terms of the ratio 7:11. So first of all, we are going to say that let the number needed will be x. So let the number be x. This number is going to be added for both terms of the ratio 7:11. So we can say that 7 plus x over 11 plus x equals 2/3. By making cross multiplication, do you remember cross multiplication? Yes, by making cross multiplication, you are going to find that 3 multiplied by 7 plus x equals 2 multiplied by 11 plus x. Now by multiplying 3 by the bracket, you are going to obtain a result as 21 plus 3x equals what on the other side? 22 plus 2x. By collecting like terms on one side, so it is 3x minus 2x equals 22 minus 21. So 3x minus 2x equals what? X. So x equals 22 minus 21 equals 1. So we can say that the number which will be added is going to be 1. Now let us have another example. Another example, find the number that if subtracted thrice of it from each of the two terms of the ratio 49/69, the ratio becomes 2/3. At the very beginning, if subtracted thrice of it, what's the meaning of thrice? Thrice, it means 3 times the number. As twice is double the number, thrice is 3 times the number. So find the number that if subtracted thrice of it from each of the two terms of the ratio 49/69, it will give a ratio as 2/3. First of all, we are going to let the number be x. The ratio is 49/69. We are going to subtract thrice this number. The number is x. What about thrice the number? It is 3x. So we are going to subtract 3x from both terms of this ratio. So it is 49 minus 3x over 69 minus 3x, give a new ratio equals 2/3. Also by making cross multiplication, so it is 3 multiplied by 49 minus 3x equals 2 multiplied 69 minus 3x. Then by multiplying, 3 by 49 gives 147 minus 3 times 3x, 9x equals 2 times 69 equals 138 minus 2 times 3x equals 6x. By collecting like terms together in one side, so it is 9x minus 6x equals 147 minus 138. What about 9x minus 6x? It's 3x equals 9. And finally, we can say that x equals 3. So the number will be 3. This is what about ratio. Let us see what about proportion. You have taken or you have studied it before. What's proportion? Let us see. Proportion is the equality of two ratios or more. It means two ratios are equal to each other. We can say that these ratios are in proportion. How? Let us see. If A over B equals C over D, in this case we can say that the numbers A, B, C, and D are in proportion. It means that they can be written as A over B equals C over D, and they are making proportion. Then, what about A? Yes, A is the first proportion, is the first number in the proportion, so it is called first proportion. B is the second number, so it is called second proportion. What about C? It is the third number written, so it is called third proportion. And what about D? It is the fourth number written, so it is called fourth proportion. This is if A is separated than B, then C and D. What about A and D together? A and D together are called extremes. The first and the last terms are called extremes. What about the middle terms, which are B and C? They are called the means of the ratio. Now let us have some properties of proportion. First of all, if A over B equals C over D, then we have studied before that A equals MC and B equals MD, where M belongs to R star. What about R star? It means that it is the set of all real numbers except the 0. By making cross multiplication for the ratio A over B equals C over D, you are going to obtain that AD equals BC. It means that the product of means equal the product of extremes. What about product of means? Product, it means the multiplication of the means. What are the means? B and C. So the multiplication of B and C equals the multiplication of A and D. So product of means equals product of extremes. If we exchange the places of the B and C, you are going to obtain a new ratio as A over C equals B over D. What about if you exchange the places of A and D? It will be D over B equals C over A. And they are the same equal ratios. Then let us have an example. If x over y equals 3 over 5, find the value of 2x plus 3y over 2y minus x. Now we are going to let x equals 3m and y equals 5m. Let us see what about 2x plus 3y over 2y minus x, which is required. Instead of x, we are going to substitute by 3m. So it is 2 multiplied by 3m plus 3y, it means 3 times y. So it is 3 times 5m over 2y. It means 2 times 5m minus x, which is minus 3m. By collecting, you are going to notice that 2 times 3m equals 6m plus 15m over 2 times 5 equals 10m minus 3m to obtain a result as 21m over 7m. By reducing, you are going to obtain a result as 3. So the result will be 3. Another example. Find the fourth proportion of the numbers 4, 12, and 16. You are going to notice it is the fourth proportion. I want you to find the fourth proportion. So it means that 4, 12, and 16 are the first, second, and third proportion. Example, find the fourth proportion of the numbers 4, 12, and 16. I want you to find the fourth proportion of 4, 12, and 16. What about 4, 12, and 16? They are the first, second, and third proportion. And I want you to find the fourth one. Now, at the very beginning, we are going to say, let the fourth proportion be A. Then proportion means equality of two ratios. So we can say that 4 over 12 equals 16 over A. And by making cross multiplication to find the value of A, so A equals 12 times 16 over 4. To obtain a result as 48. And in this case, we can say that the fourth proportion is 48. Now, let us have another example. If A, B, C, and D are proportional quantities, prove that 3A minus 2C over 5A plus 3C equals 3B minus 2D over 5B plus 3D. First of all, A, B, C, and D are proportional quantities. What does this mean? It means that A over B equals C over D. And here we can say that A equals CM and B equals DM. First of all, we are going to start by the left-hand side of the required. So LHS means the left-hand side, which is 3A minus 2C over 5A plus 3C. And substitute for A equals CM and B equals DM. So it is 3 times CM, it is 3CM minus 2C. Why is it 2C? Because we haven't found C. We found only A and B. Over 5A. It means 5 times CM plus 3C. When you look carefully to such an example, you are going to notice that you can take C as a common factor from the numerator. So when you take C as a common factor, minus 2 over what? Over, take C also as a common factor, brackets 5M plus 3. By simplifying C with C, you are going to obtain a result as 3M minus 2 over 5M plus 3. Notice carefully that the left-hand side becomes 3M minus 2 over 5M plus 3. Let us start by the other side, which is the right-hand side. RHS. Then it is 3B minus 2D over 5B plus 3D. By substituting for A and B, you are going to notice that 3B equals 3DM minus 2D over 5B, it means 5DM plus 3D. Yes, you have noticed that you can find or you can take D as a common factor from the numerator. By taking D as a common factor, it is D multiplied by 3M minus 2 over, by taking D as a common factor, so it is D brackets 5M plus 3. By reducing D with D, you are going to obtain a result as 3M minus 2 over 5M plus 3. By making a comparison between the left-hand side and the right-hand side, you are going to notice that they are equal. Now, this is the proportion. What about continued proportion? Is there a difference between proportion and continued proportion? Yes, of course. What is it? In the proportion, we have said A over B equals C over D. But in continued proportion, we are going to say A over B equals B over C. The one which we ended by it in the first ratio, we are going to start with it in the second ratio. And this is the difference between proportion and continued proportion. By making cross multiplication, you are going to find that b times b means b to the power of 2 equals AC. To find the value of b, you are going to take the square root for both sides. So we can say that b equals positive or negative square root AC. And in the case of continued proportion, a over b equals b over c, we can say that a is called the first proportion, b is called the mean or the middle proportion, and c is called the third proportion. So the repeated symbol b is called the mean proportion or the middle proportion. Now let us have an example. Find the middle proportion between 3 and 12. Then you know that middle proportion equals positive or negative root AC. So it is positive or negative root 3, which is the first proportion, times 12, which is C, the last proportion. So it is positive or negative root 36 to give a result as positive or negative 6. Another example. If B is the middle proportion between A and C, prove that A to the power of 2 plus B to the power of 2 over B to the power of 2 plus C to the power of 2 equals AC. First of all, you are going to think carefully. What about B is the middle proportion? Middle proportion means that it is continued proportion. So we can write the ratio as A over B equals B over C, which is equal to M. Now in the continued proportion, we are going to start from the back to the front. How? We are going to find B first, so B equals CM. Then A equals BM, and instead of B it is CM, so CM times M gives CM power 2. Then B equals CM and A equals CM to the power of 2. By substituting first for the left hand side, which is A to the power of 2 plus B to the power of 2 over B to the power of 2 plus C to the power of 2. By substituting for the values of A and B, then A instead of it write CM to the power of 2, all to the power of 2, plus instead of B write CM to the power of 2, over B, which is CM, all to the power of 2, plus C to the power of 2. Then it is equal to CM power 2 all to the power of 2. All to the power of 2 for which one of them? For both. So it is C to the power of 2, M to the power of 4, plus C to the power of 2, M to the power of 2, over C to the power of 2, M to the power of 2, plus C to the power of 2. Notice carefully, you can take a common factor from the numerator and from the denominator. What about the common factor from the numerator? It is C power 2, M power 2. Then C power 2, M power 2 brackets, M power 2 plus 1. Over, take a common factor from both terms as C to the power of 2 to obtain a result as C to the power of 2 brackets M to the power of 2 plus 1. By simplifying or reducing C power 2 with C power 2 and M power 2 plus 1 with M power 2 plus 1 to obtain a result as M to the power of 2. Then what about the right hand side? The right hand side is A over C. What about A? Of course, yes, A equals CM to the power of 2. So it is CM to the power of 2 over C. By reducing C with C, you are going to obtain a result as M power 2. And in this case, we can say that the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. Let us have another example. If A, B, C, and D are in continued proportion, prove that A minus 2B over B minus 2C equals 3B plus 4C over 3C plus 4D. First of all, A, B, C, and D are in continued proportion. Try to write the given. So it is A over B equals B over C equals C over D equals M. By the same way, we are going to start by finding C. So C equals dm, B equals dm to the power of 2, and finally A equals dm to the power of 3. First of all, we are going to find the left-hand side, which is A minus 2B over B minus 2C. By substituting for A, dm to the power of 3 minus 2, by substituting for B, dm to the power of 2 over B equals what? dm to the power of 2 minus 2C. What about C? It is dm. Yes, of course, you can take a common factor from both the numerator and the denominator. What about the common factor from the numerator? It's dm to the power of 2. So by taking dm to the power of 2 as a common factor, you are going to open brackets m minus 2. What about the common factor of the denominator? It is dm. So dm brackets m minus 2. By simplifying d with d and the power 2 with m, so you are going to obtain and m minus 2 with m minus 2 to obtain a result as m. And this is the left-hand side. What about the right-hand side? Yes, the right-hand side is 3b plus 4c over 3c plus 4d. By substituting, it is 3dm to the power of 2 plus 4dm over 3, instead of c, it is dm plus 4d. That's correct. You are going to take a common factor from the numerator, which is dm, which is equal to m. In this case, we can say that the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. By the end of this example, we reached the end of our lesson today. I wish that all of you understood this lesson, and we'll meet, inshallah, next time. Goodbye, my dear students.